We begin with this story this hour. Minority parties in the City of Johannesburg say that they are dismayed by the conduct of the Democratic Alliance under the leadership of Mpho Phalatse. They say that the party hasn't focused on the critical functions of the city. They've added that a new coalition would not be led by the ANC. Instead, it would be a co-governing structure. Parties held a media briefing today, and eNCA's Moloko Moloto was there, and he joins us now for an update on the briefing. Very good evening to you, Moloko. Very interesting times in the City of Johannesburg, and no less on Mpho Phalatse's birthday. But tell us the purpose of the meeting today, or the briefing, and what were some of the salient things that came out?
Well, indeed, the minority parties in the City of Johannesburg, this include your Al Jama, the COPE, some of them only have one seat, and you'd recall some of them were actually in a DA-led coalition government until now, or until recently when they removed the council speaker. So the purpose of today really was just to bash the DA as well as the executive mayor. They accuse them of having collapsed the finances of the City of Johannesburg. They insist, despite the executive mayor's denial, they insist that the city is not able to even pay service providers. But they were also emphasizing that the executive mayor basically stays unnumbered. They actually even call her a temporary mayor. But they are also saying that the executive mayor interferes in the procurement of service providers and all that. And they are mentioning here a case wherein the executive mayor has written an email instructing a former acting municipal manager in saying to him, please appoint this company called Nexus so that it can investigate the one senior official in the city. His name is Floyd Brink. And we actually saw another letter wherein Mpho Phalatse is withdrawing the initial letter that he sent to that particular official, realizing that actually she has violated the procurement policies as well as legislation, because politicians cannot decide who must be appointed. So they are accusing her of all those kind of things. But when they say that the new coalition, new government will not necessarily be led by the ANC, we know it is actually likely to be led by the ANC. All they are saying, it's a matter of semantics. They are saying it will not be called an ANC-led coalition. It would be called whatever core governance structure. But let's listen to a leader or one councillor from the ATM there.
As the MOP, which is the minority opposition parties, we are dismayed at the conduct of the Democratic Alliance in the governing of the City of Johannesburg. The DA, under the stewardship of temporal mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse, is arrogant, corrupt, and accusatory. The media has become a theatrical stage of drama and performance for temporal mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse, to the detriment of the city and council. Where have you ever heard of a sitting mayor attacking a speaker in public? Instead of using the structures and processes provided for engagements. Why does the temporal mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse see it proper to call a media briefing to account for service delivery in the media and not to the communities?
Now, the financial stability of the city has also come into question, with talks about a loan being given to the city. Why exactly do they feel like the City of Johannesburg needs a loan? But also, when we focus on Mpho Phalatse, that motion of no confidence that is set to be put in motion, give us a sense of a timeline of when we're going to see that happen.
Well, up to so far, with regard to the motion of no confidence, there's no motion of no confidence before council now. The programming committee, which is a committee of council consisting of various councillors representing all political parties, still has to sit on the 15th of this month to decide on the admissibility of that particular motion, and it would be on the agenda on a date that would be announced. Now, on the city's finances, we know that the city is in a financial trouble. The executive mayor herself and her team accept that they are not happy with the finances. As a result, they require an urgent a short-term loan of 2 billion rand to keep them afloat. So these smaller parties are saying they are not going to vote in support of that report, because before they can go to the Development Bank of Southern Africa, that is the executive mayor, she must first get permission of council and a report has to serve there. So they are basically saying that the mayor must first explain what this money is for and how it's going to be repaid. But let's listen to Mr. Kevin Reddy, who says he is an advisor of these minority parties as to what actually the situation is there.
The city was in a financial predicament and they required a short-term loan of 2 billion rand. Now, noting that in May of this year, May 22, Council approved a funding plan for the medium-term capital budget by utilizing Standard Bank to the facility, or the facility thereof, to the tune of 675 million rand. It is further very, very concerning that the city in general never really requires short-term loans. Now you'll realize that even when the ANC had taken out loans, it was always long-term loans, and it was very project-based and never ever loans to try and just have quick fixes and salaries, etc., etc. So it's very concerning that when we look at this, we try to ascertain why why suddenly there's such an urgency that this report has to be tabled and has to be approved by council.
Very interesting developments happening in the city of Johannesburg, Moloko Moloto. No doubt you'll remain abreast on those issues. That is reporter Moloko Moloto joining us this evening to break down the latest developments in the City of Gold, as it's called.